Sport has a unique power. It stops nations, it fills stadiums, and it creates heroes. But behind every great tournament, every iconic moment, and every global sporting stage, there's a complex world of strategy, business, and leadership. Sponsorship worth millions, broadcast deals that shape entire industries, and people working behind the scenes to build platforms where athletes and nations can shine. Today on Broadcast, we're speaking to one of the architects of modern sports business in South Africa. Selwyn Nathan has spent decades shaping the commercial engine behind professional sport, from pioneering sports marketing platforms to helping position South African golf on the global stage. This conversation isn't just about sport, it's about leadership, vision, and the power of sport to connect people, brands, and nations. So, Selwyn, thank you for being here. It's my actually honor to have you on this show of ours, or the broadcast, my show. And, at the end of the day, I've been following you for many, many years, and it's a privilege for me, for you to be here with me. And we're just going to do a bit of soul searching and digging into your experience and your life and your story about where it all started. So I've worn my golf attire, my JL's top, and I'm looking the part because I know that's where both our passions lie. And I'm going to just kind of go back in a little bit in history, and you're going to tell us where it all started and where we got to. So I'm going to call you Nate. I think you're used to me calling you Nate, and I've followed you for many, many years. You're one of my heroes and beacons in the business world as well. And I'd love to hear, I don't know, parts of your story, but not all of your story, and I'd love to hear more. So thank you for being here. And where did it all start, Selwyn?
It's actually a pleasure being here. I've never been to your office, and I didn't realize when I come in I've got to read all these tips, and deals come from planning, and it's belief, commitment, discipline, integrity. It's amazing. I mean, if you're just looking at this, I was telling someone yesterday at the Joburg Open, there was an issue between something was going on at the event, and I tried to explain to them that when you walk into a Remgro office or a Remgro boardroom, there's a little sign on each door that tells you when you walk in here, just remember, the customer is king. And what a great lesson for people that are dealing in business and have situations. When they go into a meeting, the first thing they see, who's the king? Then they realize how unimportant they are at the start of a meeting.
Yeah, so I mean, I myself, I started in the restaurant business many, many years ago, and every cappuccino was worth a deal. So it might have only been worth, I think, 10 Rand in those days, but it was a deal. You had to try and sell a cappuccino, deliver the cappuccino, make sure they enjoyed it, and the experience was good from start to finish. And that was the customer's king. And if you didn't enjoy that experience or the cappuccino or anything that went with it, you just put your finger on it. That they are the king, and you must make sure that they're happy.
You're still in the restaurant business?
Indirectly.
I had a very long experience in the restaurant business with the late Sam Hackner, but we'll get to that story as we go along.
So tell me, Selwyn, I think it was 1969 you turned pro. But I mean, who started you off in golf first before you even got to that stage?
So I lived in Francis Street in Observatory. I went to Observatory East Primary School. Thought I was a bit of a soccer player. My elder brother started playing golf. He used to play golf with Alan Henning and Graham and Brian and Harold. All used to spend their time at Observatory Golf Course. And I started playing it probably at the age of about 10 or 11 years old. Spent a lot of time at Observatory Golf Course, sitting under a tree watching the Hennings practice, go out and play a few holes. Great place for juniors to start. A lot of our development stuff happens there at the moment. We play a lot of our playoffs, pre-qualifying, things like that there. And got into the game. by 1916, by the time I finished school, was amazing, because from the age of like 13 to 18, you had all these golf tournaments to play. So whether you played in the 7-Up at Observatory, or you played in the Eastern Transvaal or the Southern Transvaal or the Gary Player Trophy, it was an amazing experience. Yeah, so that's where it was, and that's when my relationship with the Henning family started at Observatory. And then I went and did an auto-electrical apprenticeship with my dad, who was in the motor business. And during that time, an opportunity came for Brian Henning was looking for an assistant in Cape Town at King David. And I wasn't a very good player. I could hit the ball beautifully, but I wasn't a Dale Hayes or a Harold Henning.
And you played a lot of golf with them?
I played plenty of golf.
And did you know that they were better than you, or did you think you could be better?
I always believed that I had a part of the game that nobody else had. And still today, I'm 75 years old, nobody drives the ball as well or as
straight.
I can play with any golf pro, and you can go talk to any golf pro.
I played with you.
Who drives it straight, though, not as far. I mean, that was the start. And then I went to work for Brian in Cape Town. And it was what an unbelievable experience. I mean, it was just
good
fantastic.
Guy.
Fantastic guy.
That whole family. I mean, I was with one of the Hennings at school, one of my best friends. They're a beautiful family, all of them.
And they were a kind family. You're really interested.
They wanted to help you.
Yeah, and listen, when you're earning 75 Rand a month and you're paying 10 Rand for accommodation, and you mixing with a bit of a rough crew, it's a lot of money, really a lot of money. But they were so good to me, and all the people that I met in Cape Town, without mentioning a lot of names, but I had a massive Jewish community at King David in those days.
What a golf course!
Listen, I learned on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning or a Thursday afternoon when the golf school used to come. That's where I first learnt about whiskey and milk. First, before they went off, they would have a whiskey and milk. Amazing. It helped many times later on in life to sort of sober up after a bad night on the golf course or out with your mates before you play. But I had a most wonderful time. And then the new Killarney golf course, or the new TAC, was built where it is today. And Brian got the job as the head pro. They never had golf directors in those days. They had the head pro. And I came to Johannesburg with Brian. It was actually a wonderful relief to come out of Cape Town. Cape Town was great. The winter was terrible. No golf, a lot of rain, freezing.
There are a lot more golfers in Johannesburg. Let's.
I'm at Johannesburg. Listen, Cape Town was a fantastic environment at that particular time. I'm sure it's the same now. Not as many golf courses, but coming to Killarney in those early days to a brand new golf course at another Jewish club, fantastic club. And I played there quite a lot, and I played there with you the other day. It's our second attempt at playing, and we got washed out. But really a great experience. And from that, we actually had the first Sunshine Tour tournament that December or early January in 1970, called the Cape Classic, which was big tournament, small tournament, but it was the first tournament. And whether they played for 5 or 10 grand, it was a start. They had one tournament a year for many years before then and after them that used to take place at the PGA Championship, which was actually run by the late George Bloomberg's wife, Brenda, and Hachi, that took place at Germiston. So they might have had one in 68, 69, 70, but the Sunshine Tour proper actually started with Brian in the first Cape Classic. And when we got to Johannesburg, Sunshine Tour started building.
And do you remember who the first sponsors were?
I'm not saying that they were sponsors. I mean, they weren't sponsors. They were benefactors.
Okay.
You know, you would have the Schwersky brothers would put up some money. Baldy Seidel would put up the money. Ernie Lessem would put up some money. These are old Cape Town families where it started. When they came to Johannesburg, you had a group of people, for instance, at the TIC, that were businessmen. People, a company like Michelangelo might have been the first involved. A guy like Leo Schaffer with Salati Sugars in those days. I mean, so there were people that were involved in the game. The Kirsch family, you know, through their relationship with the game and the club. And I mean, it was it was just a way to get it started. I would say that Johan Rupert's group, the first Lexicon PGA Championships that took place at the Wanderers, was one of the first big corporates. The PGA Championships that we had at Huddle Park in the early days with Late Lager and Sportsman's Lager.
On the blue course?
On the blue course, fantastic course, fantastic. That's the first time I actually felt like I got to feel what it was like to be involved with a big tournament. I played early. The first morning, I played with a guy, Jerry Lepu, who travelled with us overseas, and Vincent Chabalala. Really? I think we teed off first. We were on Panorama. If you went to the 20th century or the Metro, the theatre, you saw this first time that black guys were playing with white guys in a golf tournament. Yeah. Lee Elder came to South Africa at that particular time in the early years. I mean, that was the first time that you could actually see a grandstand. You could see signage on a golf course where you had SABC took snippets of the tournament. A lot of politics in those days. And that was way before the unity and all those kind of meetings took place over the years. But that was really what you would call the start of the subject.
And then you travelled soon thereafter. You started obviously playing a bit here, and then you decided to travel.
I played as an amateur in Europe, which was a nice start. I travelled with Dale and Brian Ferreira and Gary Bailson, and not a lot of amateurs that travelled overseas, but we travelled. But in the early years, up until about 1973, I travelled, played as many of those European tournaments that we could at the time. It used to be called the European Tour. There was no DP World Tour. You'd go to a tournament where 40 guys teed it up and 20 guys would make a cut. You could get your accommodation with breakfast and a dinner for 30 bob a day. I mean, you could walk to the golf course.
I don't think everyone knows what 30 bob is.
30 bob was, in those days, about R1.50. Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it's incredible, yeah.
It's incredible. So, I mean, you could go...
But you still had to get there.
Yeah, but you get there for... It was small money. Your parents could... the old story, you wouldn't have to send your dad a message or a telegram, you know. No fun, your son, send Tom. You know, if you were given R1,000, you could probably stay there for 6 months.
Yeah,
I mean, which was
were there a lot of good golfers there that side?
Yeah, there were a lot of good players. I mean, a lot of very good players. But at that time, you've only just got to look at the history. I mean, you had
these are amateur events you played.
No, the amateur events were finished by the time in the 70s. Was already pro events. So you had the likes of Brian Barnes. I mean, you just look at the people that play. A young O'Leary, a young Faldo, a young Ballesteros. I mean, those were the guys that were around. And from a South African perspective, you had Tenny Brits, you had Vinnie Baker who won, you had Moose Gavin, you Matkovich, Bailson, Hayes, Fourie. I think I said Brits. You had Bayoki. I mean, you had.
Bland came after that, or was it around?
Who's that?
John Bland.
Bland a little after that. But he was amazing.
So I mean, this is where, I mean, obviously with the conversation I'd like to get to is you made a decision sometime in your life to stop golf. I mean, how did you get to that decision and then to go into business? I mean, the crossover from saying, you know what, maybe this is the time where, I don't know, it's a bit of self-reflecting where you're thinking, you know, maybe you're not going to win a major and maybe, you know, you should.
I actually don't think it was anything like it. I think I realized after a particular amount of time that I didn't have the game. And then I got my amateur status back and things like that. And while I was doing that, I was working in one of my dad's businesses with my late brother. And like 1977, I had got my status back. And I was working for the tour part-time because the players liked me, which was an enormous thing to have. Like, you know.
Well, you're a personality.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've always had that. So my relationship has come from having a relationship with the players. So when things started to happen, they always had a committee or needed a tournament director or things. So that's who was not necessarily the boss. That's who was there. And we had patrons. We had patrons like the George Bloomberg. We had a Jimmy Hempel that was around that went and did a rules course, was there. We had Basil Kirtland. We had, you know, lots of people from different businesses that were feeding it to get it started. And then in 1978, Kersner arrived. And once Kersner arrived, everybody followed suit. You know, it was suddenly Kersner was in, suddenly the liquor industry was in. And then from the liquor industry, suddenly the cigarette business was in and the tobacco industry. So it was, someone saw that someone was doing something and hell, that looks like good, that looks like good value. This is something that my brand people can aspire to. And that's slowly how the tour grew, and we got to 10 tournaments.
So you were involved from the very beginning of the tour.
Very beginning.
And obviously it sounds like you were a bit of the go-to guy to make it all happen. Just on the, like, Johan Rupert, was he involved at that early stage?
In the early days, his family were involved. Johan's big push into golf from the Sunshine Tour and amateur golf was in the early 90s when he came back to South Africa, because he went to work in America and he went to work, you know, in his father's business, or, you know, this massive international business. And once he started getting involved from you know, the business went broke. So we had a situation where there were different tax incentives from the government to beat the apartheid ban, to beat this, to beat that, across all sports. And there were incentives like the 11 bis, where you would get a double deduction and things like that. And companies were taking advantage of it. And we had a commissioner and players at the time that probably didn't understand the implications. And in about probably just a little after Unity, when everybody got together and we split the PGA from the players from the club pros. A couple of years into that, everybody was earning a lot of money. The tour was in huge financial problems because of the commissions we were paying on double sponsorships and things like that. And there's a famous story of Mr. Rupert saying to the then commissioner, but gee, you're earning a lot of money. You're actually earning more than the leader of the Order of Merit. And he said to Mr. Rupert, well, what do you think the commissioner stands for? And that's when all those things stopped. And we formed this new board of Johan, myself, Paul Harris, John Newbury, and then Jeremy Ord came along, and we had like.
When was that about?
1998.
Oh,
1998. That's when everything was split, and we became this official organisation, the Southern African PGA Sunshine Tour, Southern African.
So, who do you think possibly one of the most influential people with you getting into this business was Johan? Did he have a massive?
Absolutely.
And what was he like to work with?
You've got to have some courage.
Yeah.
But he's got some simple rules, no lies, no ducking the issue. Understand that there's whatever you're doing, there's what you need and what other people need to make it work. And never be greedy.
Yeah, because saying, Johan for me, I just started hearing his name in the early 2000s, but without Johan, I think even the first Daniel International, I think at Houghton, I remember that. But without him, we never saw besides obviously Saul Kersner bringing everyone to the $1 million originally at Sun City, but without him, I don't think the scary part is eventually Johan won't be here. But I'm just saying, without him, the South African tour would not be where it is today.
Look, with massive credit to Johan, you've only got to look at the people that have been involved in that board. This organisation's been going for, let's call it since 1998, as a commercial entity, a non-profit organisation that's got money in the bank. If you compare golf to cricket, rugby, tennis, netball, athletics, everything. These guys have worked, our board members have worked for nearly 30 years without ever receiving R1. Now compare that to soccer or cricket or rugby, where they've got 25 directors and regional chairman and presidents.
On the verge of bankruptcy, a lot of them.
Because everybody's getting paid.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting paid. So, we're successful because people are contributing their knowledge and their time to the tour.
Absolutely.
And not looking to get paid for it.
We're lucky. I think the pros are lucky in South Africa to have some of those.
But back to that Daniel at Houghton.
Yeah.
That's the President's Cup.
Yes.
They saw how it worked. And suddenly there was a President's Cup, and there was no more Daniel.
Yeah.
They effectively hijacked the tournament, and that's what it is.
Are there any business styles or that you used 40 years ago that you would still use today? In negotiating, because you are known to be one of the best negotiators, and you do so by making people feel good about themselves, that they're getting more than they're paying for, and the experience is all there. But I'm saying, what have you learned those days that you're still using today? Because that'll be very interesting.
I always tell everybody, and everybody that works in our organisation, that if you're going to a meeting or you're going to sell something, don't go there off the cuff. Be prepared. Be able to, when you walk in the room, you better look for the fool. Because if you can't find the fool in the room, it's you. So you're in big trouble before you start. So, you have to be genuine. Everything that you're doing needs to be authentic. You need to go and put something on the table where the guy believes he's actually getting a bargain. And more importantly, I've said it so many times, a fast no to a discussion is much better than getting a slow yes. Because what the slow yes does, it stops you from going to the next. It stops you. You finish up waiting. Then you finish up, you've got 10 irons in the fire, and nothing's going to happen. So
I've never heard that before, but I mean, it's interesting the way you put it in perspective. Because your time is money and time is valuable, and you just to get to the next decision of business.
Yeah, but your biggest mistake I'm not talking about business. Your biggest mistake when you're selling something that's already there.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've got to find the money for prize money. You've got to find the money for TV. You've got to find the money for infrastructure. You've got to find the money to keep the organization going. I mean, you take a little levy from a player for doing the job, but that levy goes into the pot to be able to, as you saw, when COVID came, that little levy that we kept, we were able to support the pros for 8 or 9 months.
That must have been a tough time.
And to support the caddies, and to support the ladies' golf, and to support all the people that worked in the organization. We had 40-odd people. Those 40-odd people had to get paid. Now, the only way you could get paid was if you were running a business. And there again, we had money in the bank because we didn't have to pay our directors. That we were able to save money. We'd be able to invest the money. Listen, I just think that when you go to sell something, you need to have respect for the other person's brand, and you need to be able to say to them, this is what I'm going to do for your brand.
We're going to talk about the tour partners and how they got involved. But you sold something better than anyone, and you sold our tour to the European Tour, to the PGA Tour. I mean, you got us an Asian Tour, Australian Tour. You sold our product, South African golf, and when did that happen? When did South African golf and the European golf almost become like a partner?
Probably about 10 or 14 years ago. So, I mean, we've had, I don't know how many 100 tournaments we've had with the European Tour. We've had maybe a dozen where we were co-sanctioned with the Asian Tour. We've only done one event, the President's Cup, with the PGA Tour. But we were part of the original founding partners of the World Golf Federation. And I talked the other day about the very first meeting I went to. I went with Dave Proctor when we were still one organization with playing professionals and club professionals. And we met Peter Thompson from Australia, Ken Schofield from the European Tour, and Dean Beeman. And you had the privilege of being at the Augusta and seeing. So South Africa have worked with 3 commissioners of the PGA Tour, plus an ex-South African started the Champions Tour, Brian Henning, and ran the Champions Tour up until just before COVID. We've had a relationship with 4 different commissioners of the European Tour. We've had a relationship with 3 different commissioners of the Australian Tour. So the World Golf Federation is how the mixture came. How we got to such a big partnership with the DP World Tour was, number one, because of Mr. Rupert's relationship with the RNA, with the Daniel Championships, with all the different brands that he has within the golf structures, and his relationships with the RNA, and his relationships with the USGA. And
was Johan involved with the Daniel in the old format? Or so it was his Daniel
100%.
So it wasn't just father, it was actually Johan.
Johan.
Remember when South African won? I think it was Gary Player, David Frost, and who was the?
I think it was Retief at one time.
I think they won it twice. I remember Gary hitting off the road the one year on the road on the last hole.
I don't remember Gary playing in it.
Man, he played.
When you're able to use relationships, not for profit, relationships to be able to contribute to something, that makes a bigger difference. I mean, you just look at the people that are on our board of directors today, how young people coming through. I mean, they don't get selected because they're great businessmen. They get selected because they're generous, because they've got apathy, because they understand the development of the game, and they love the game. And they're not scared of money. I mean, that's the key. The key is to get people to come into the game, and not just chairman's folly. It's very easy to go and walk into the managing director of a company who's a golf fanatic and go and sell him something. And he's on the tour for the period that he's the chairman, and suddenly he's out. I mean, if you just look at our Investec relationship, our Investec relationship started.
Larry, I think, many years.
Larry, when Investec started. I mean, yes, Larry's been involved with golf for over 45 years with the Swazi event. But subsequently to that, our real break in golf came in the Hackner Maggot era. Yes, Fuzzy.
The Order of Merit, the race to the Investec Cup.
Fuzzy and Larry's involvement, that relationship, Sam's relationship with golf. Sam playing with professionals, and suddenly Investec, before they got into any golf tournament, sponsoring 3 or 4 young South Africans. I mean, they sponsored Shaw, they sponsored George, they sponsored Burmaster, they sponsored, I think they even sponsored Grace at one particular time. They're the first guys to sponsor ladies golf.
Listen, it's become very expensive over the modern era to play. I think, from what I understand, to have a US PGA Tour card, you got to have $500,000 in your account. That's what it costs you. The cost of traveling for the US between $500,000 and $600,000.
Well, I think that's very different now. I mean, if you get a European tour card today, you get a $150,000 advance at the start of the year. If you don't make the 150, it's yours.
Yeah. And the PGA Tour, I think it's 500.
Probably more. They probably give you more. I don't know what the exact number is. I haven't asked. I don't want to find myself in a situation where we have to pay our oaks to start. So not that flush.
So you've mentioned some names there. I mean, that were involved. Larry Nestat, Sam Ackner. I mean, I loved, the late Sam Ackner was possibly the most generous human being I've ever met in my life. I mean, he gave not only financially to people, but he gave of his time and in business, and I learned a great deal amount from him. He was an incredible human being, and he's been sadly missed by everyone around him.
I'm sure, but I mean...
What did you learn from him?
Oh, Sam, I've learned let the feeling pass many, many times. You know, when you came, Sam sat on our audit committee, sat on our REMCO, sat on our board of directors for a very long time. Sam was, a really diligent, committed guy to not only growing the game, but to what he could contribute to the game. And he was one of those sponsors. He might not have been the chairman, and it wasn't a folly, because the proof of it not being a folly is Investec's involvement today, fortunately and thankfully, how, the whole Investec business has changed enormously, but how you still have the Investec Ladies South African Open, you have the Investec Men's South African Open, you have the Papua Sagolum class, you have the ladies development and ladies event, the ladies incentives, the 4 or 5 lady golfers that they sponsor and help. I mean, that's just unbelievable, because lose that and you lose your national championships. Casey, 22 years old, winning the South African Open after winning in Kenya, now going to Augusta and to the Open.
So,
it's a ticket to ride.
You mentioned it, Casey Jarvis and Jaden Shaper. You mentioned some of these youngsters that they've all come through the most incredible South African foundation, junior foundation, South African Golf Foundation. Obviously, a lot of it's sponsored, and the biggest benefactor, again, is Johan. But the development here in South Africa...
That Golf RSA and the South African Golf Development Board, identifying, funding, creating the squads, giving an opportunity for someone with just a little bit of talent to grow them into players is, the proof's in the pudding. We've won 3 British Amateur Championships.
Yeah. Oh, there was 3 in 4 years.
3 in 4 years. There you go. I mean, you've got to just take a look at Casey, because a lot of people don't understand it. In the history of South African golf, how many players have won the South African stroke play, South African Amateur Championships, African Amateur Championships, SA Open, and the lowest stroke play in World Amateur Golf. It's not South African. Yeah, you've got currently now 2 of our youngest kids that have come out, Eldrich Potgieter and Lambrecht, PGA Tour cards. You've got your next batch coming through now, be Christian Maas and Daniel Bennett coming through the university.
And tell me, how important do you think it is for golfers to go do the college, the US college program?
I mean, unless you're a talent like Casey, at 17 years old, that's able to win everything he tees it up in. He'll go and play in a pro tournament as an amateur or an 18-year-old and beat the pros. Unless you're a talent like that and that's got a good infrastructure behind you, that's the way to go. That's definitely the way to go. I mean, Casey and Schaefer are totally different.
Yeah. I mean, Maas has done exceptionally well. Bennett's done exceptionally well. They're both, I think, All-Americans.
But look at
Jovan Rabula, he is an All-American 4 years in a row.
Fratelli.
Dylan Fratelli there. And not many ladies that have
Just
come
go back a little further. Yeah. You've got Tim Clark, you've got Stone.
Yeah.
I mean, Sabatini. I mean, he's the second most financially successful South African on the PGA Tour. Only Ernie's earned more money than him.
Yeah. I think for a long time he was in the top 30 of the all-time money earners.
Yeah, listen, I think that our structures are good. I think that we've got, if you just look at the world amateur rankings, how many young South Africans are in colleges around America.
Yeah.
But now you see like young Judd Sundelson that came home to win the South African Amateur. He's one of the top players in the.
He is the top player. He won the Auto Merit in the universities in the UK.
In Scotland.
Yeah, and
he's a very good player.
Very good player.
I mean, whether he
comes from a great pedigree, great family.
Amazing pedigree. Amazing.
Son Barry lost in the final. Great friend of mine.
His dad never turned. His dad. I don't know if his dad turned pro.
I think he tried for it a short while.
His granddad never turned pro. His granddad was
better in business.
His granddad finished up a great coach.
Yeah, well, helped me a lot. I mean, he was had a massive impact in me and my golf and in just in life. I loved him. Everyone loved Neville.
I mean, they were a great family, and if Judd's going to make the choice to turn pro, he's going to have to go through the system, and I think that's what we've managed to achieve with the PGA Tour and the European Tour is that there's a pathway. So now if a guy's any good and he's an amateur, he goes and plays the Blue Label series. Then he goes and plays the Ernie Els Betway series.
So from my point of view, it's obviously so much better nowadays because, I mean, look what you've done to the winner of the SA Open. They get to go to Augusta. I mean never in the history.
It's not what I've done.
I'm talking about the tour.
It's what, for instance, Mr. Rupert's relationship set up.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, we could take a lot of kudos and whatever, but how did we get those relationships? Being introduced by different people in the world. Now we've got to a situation where our winner gets to the Masters. And don't be surprised if you see Casey's name running up the leaderboard. I mean, because he's an absolute talent. I promise you, and I've been saying it for a long, long time. I mean, he's been my pick since.
You mentioned to me many. You mentioned him to me.
Since Brandon Grace, he's been my pick. I mean, with all these guys, him and Schaefer and Lambrecht and Foster and Samuel Simpson and all these kids came from the same group. Also, a lot of these young guys, Larry sponsored individually, put them on tour with nobody knowing. Just quietly, give the Oaken a chance. And if you go back over the years, you'll find another 10 players that they've both looked
where I was going with that is, it's obviously much better now, but there are a lot more golfers. There are a lot more golfers than there were 30, 40 years ago. Is it easier today? Or
It's easier to make a decision whether you've got the discipline or you've got the level to be able to compete in each particular stage. I mean, you could be
a great amateur.
Absolutely a great amateur, absolutely fantastic in the development series, great in the Big Easy, get your card and not make a cut. I mean,
we've seen that.
Oh, I mean, I've seen 4 generations of these players now. I have seen absolutely fantastic players come out of the box, fly, win within a few months, and then disappear. And maybe it's the money, maybe it's the woman, maybe it's the
So what's the difference between good and great?
Pen and a pencil. You've got to post the score.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. I mean,
the score doesn't lie. The score doesn't lie.
You ask Gary Play, he tells you it's it. I mean, what's it? What's it? You know, I said to someone the other day, I said, Casey's got a little bit of something in him. That must be absolutely horrible. But you've got to have it. If you haven't got that ugly part of managing yourself on a golf course and switching off, like Bobby Locke used to say, when you get on the first tee, switch off the hearing aid.
I think he's won it. He's been young. He was younger than Ernie Els when Ernie Els won the SA Open.
I'm not sure of those stats, but nobody won the SA Open this way.
Yeah, I mean, incredible.
This is serious competition.
No, against the best of Europe. I mean,
you remember if you go back, I mean, we had an SA Open that Faldo and Woosnam and Sevi and Ernie beat them all.
Yeah.
And we had other SA Open where Sterney beat them all. Well, so, I mean, James Kingston beat them all.
100% right. Well, a conversation wouldn't be the same without, you just mentioned him, Gary Player. What's Gary done for this game is incredible. I mean,
absolutely.
And still to this day, he is my biggest hero. Sorry, Nate.
But I mean,
everyone's, a lot of people.
The man is 90 years old.
And I think he's misunderstood by some people.
But he would be. Because
he's our hero.
He must understand that Gary Player in America and Gary Player in South Africa are 2 different things. One, Gary was brought up in South Africa at a very, very difficult time. Came from the railway tracks. Never mind what people say. He came from the railway tracks. In America, they see him as something unbelievable. Yeah, he went through this terrible turmoil at the same time as was going on with apartheid South Africa, like a lot of us did. Or, you know, a lot of when I say a lot of us,
they were boycotting at some of his tournaments.
No, but I mean that everybody they were entitled to do that. I mean that's what was going on in this country at the same time. What was going on in this country at that time was a terrible time. I mean, my friend Dr. Koza, I've been friends with since he was a caddy at Observatory. I've seen what he went through then, before Unity as our players, and what he is today. It just shows it's the same. It's about commitment, about wanting to better yourself, but have the opportunity. And Gary got the opportunity, and he used it through sheer grit, hard work, grind, faith. But he did it. I mean, he did something that I think he's the last guy to win the Grand Slam before Rory. No, but I think that's
right. I think
it's
it's Tiger, then Rory.
Tiger twice.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So
but as an ambassador for South African golf, I mean,
yes,
he is the man.
Yes. Point is, you know, you've got 10 new ambassadors, and Gary took it to that. Ernie is the most unbelievable ambassador. Gary was the leader of that ambassador role. Then you had Ernie, and then we had Louis for a bit, and then we had Dale over Europe for years, and Dale commentating. What an ambassador. Dennis Hutchinson. I mean, we had 3 guys on Sky Television every single week for the last 20 years punting our country. So if you were going to give a sports award, you'd give it to Tony Johnson, you'd give it to Dale Hayes, and you'd give it to Dennis Hutchinson, other than what Mr. Rupert has done for golf, for South African golf and our country internationally. But I mean, Gary is without doubt our greatest sportsman. I mean, he also gives back to the game. I mean,
he's built schools.
Gives back to the game. He's done
and
a lot of amazing.
And if you spend a little bit of time with him, you actually, we walk away and you want to go and self-reflect and you want to go become a better person.
I mean, he makes me feel great. And he tells everybody, wherever he is, he says, that guy's backswing was better than Ben Hogan's. I mean, how can you get more compliments than that from a guy? But he's special guy, and he's been amazing for us.
And tell me, the black golfers and the development of black golfers in South Africa coming through. There's obviously a program at the tour. You've accommodated them.
I don't think we've accommodated anybody. I mean, we've created a platform, created a squad. We've built a golf course.
We're going to get to that because that's my properties discussion.
So what we've actually done is we've leveled the playing fields. You want to play golf? Here's your opportunity. We'll help you go through school. We'll pay your entry fees. We'll give you an opportunity to play. We'll give you facilities to improve yourself. And if you're any good, you'll get in the squad and you'll get funded to a certain amount. And once you've earned enough, then you'll go out of the squad to let the next bloke in. We look what Investec did with the invitation to the South African Open. Kareba Bukwela got it this year because he was the leading player. Because Nicole Rama had qualified. Anyway, Nicole won it, but he'd won it. You look at a kid like Keenan Davidson, who for 5 years was the best player of colour. I mean, there's 5 other guys have won it since then. So it's
happening.
It's doing well, and it's well funded by all of our sponsors, without mentioning anyone in particular. That everybody that's got a tournament with us or who is a supplier to the tour, a contribution of their money goes into the Papua Sagolum class, and that's how it works. You can't ask a person to sponsor the South African Open for 20 million rand and not take any of that money and put it to grassroots. Grassroots will benefit out of everything big. Has got to start somewhere. So the foundation of our development structure comes from the SAGDB through to Golf RSA, to what we call now the development or the Papua Sagolum class, onto the tour or to the Big Easy tour. They play the Blue Label development tour also. They're within the same structure. And sure, if you're any good, you're on the Sunshine Tour, you're on the Challenge Tour or the Hotel Planners Tour, DP World Tour. Get in the top 10, you're on the PGA Tour.
I know you obviously had the Investec and you've had Global involved and you've had other big sponsors involved.
But also small sponsors.
Yeah, but talk about the experience. You had this
Fortress
sponsor now.
Let me just give you one. Just give you one. So let's talk about Hyundai or the Motors Group, without singling out anybody. They are a supplier to the tour. Yeah. So they give us the vehicles. Yeah. There's bad weather, the weather we got now. Now we have to move the players from the golf course. We need to move players from golf course to a hotel, to functions, to the practice team if it's not on site. They have become our vehicle partner. What do they get for that? They get a couple of spots in every pro-am. They get their own activation day. We'll give them 15 pros. You can bring 45 or 50 of clients. An activation day. They get their own tournament, the Hyundai Championships, Sunshine Tour event. They get 2 days television. They get hospitality for their guests at every single tournament on the tour.
And that
They get a
experience,
they-
you mustn't
they-
take it lightly because it's
I'll-
unbelievable. I've
give
been
it to
part
you.
of it.
I'll give it to you. They get a team in every pro-am that's played the whole year. So what is it? They get a chance to interact with their clients, select particular clients over a period of time, to take their top 45 suppliers to the Motors Group or organization, to an activation day, where they get to talk about their business, where they get to meet other sponsors or within the network. So now, let's just take one situation. Take a group like D&I, who's got a distribution network. Or take a group like Courier Guy, who's got a distribution. Put them together with Hyundai. Suddenly D&I and Courier Guy are buying Hyundai vehicles.
Yeah.
Suddenly, D&I executives in the Motors Group and Courier Guy Group
Contagion.
are sharing their relationships, introducing to the new people. It's not necessarily networking. It's actual business being done that started off as
An invitation.
come and play golf. Come and play golf. No, you can't go. I don't play golf. All right, well, come and spend Saturday afternoon in our VIP area. Come with us to the Nedbank. Come with us to the SA Open. Come with us to bring your wife. Let's go and play. We're going to play golf. We're going hunting. They're getting an opportunity to do business with 15 or 20 other corporates that have the same interest. Because what golf has got, which is different to any other sport, when you go out on the golf course, you're on your own. You've got a pencil and a piece of paper. It's all about honesty, integrity. I can tell you that within one hole of me playing with 3 other guys, I will know whether I ever want to play golf with either one of the 3 of them ever again, and or whether I want to do business with any of the 3 of them.
And I can tell you, after this week with, he's an unbelievable golfer, Patrick Reed. Wasn't Liv coming back to the tour. But did you hear his words when he was interviewed? He said he wishes he had found out about South Africa sooner. This is the most hospitable country, the best place he's ever been to in his life. He said it's a hidden secret. He wished he had found it. That's only good for us.
I don't know if you read Pavon, who got hurt in Cape Town.
Shame.
I don't know if you read his tweet.
Yeah, I did read it. How Johan and Gaynor helped him.
Yeah, and how the response from South Africa, from Mediclinic, from the players, from the caddies, from the officials. That's what, number one, what South Africa's about. But we've been like that for 40 years. We didn't just start being nice now. It's
in our DNA.
Yeah, I think we're a very resilient country.
We want to help.
Listen, and listen, we are hospitable. And also, I see lots of fancy sayings on your wall. But we've got a certain amount of humility in this country also. You just have a look at us. We're very good losers, as we were yesterday.
In cricket. Consistent ones.
Well, but we'll also win. Here we are. We've had 11 events that 2 22-year-olds have won 4 of. And this will be the 12th event, and I bet my lot that someone else is going to arrive this week.
So my pick's Henny du Plessis. I played with him recently. I was one of the best players I've ever played with in my life. He's incredible.
Listen, last year, if you remember, Tristan Lawrence led by 5 and didn't make the frame. 3 oaks went past him like he was standing still.
But let's, I want you to just basically carry on talking a little bit about, I know your position and I know your situation, that South Africa and the tour is involved with the European tour and the US tour, but there's obviously 4 of our greats have joined the Live Tour. I'm not going to ask you to give your opinion on the lifter, but I would like, how do you see it working?
No, you see, for me, this is just the standard situation.
I mean, it's a lot of money.
If you're in a deal, you, Norman, or any property company or anyone, if you're in a deal, you can't get out of that deal unless you break the deal.
And it could cost you money.
No, and you can be dishonest about it also. So from a Sunshine Tour perspective, it's the easiest thing. We are in a deal with a strategic alliance with the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour of America. We are in a contract, a signed document till 2030. We have been in this relationship for 5 years already. We're in our fifth
And it's
year.
working.
Well, if there's a pathway, we get contribution to our prize funds. It's good for us, and that's good.
The player.
Our job, the MOU or the MOA of the Sunshine Tour, has got one thing: to create playing opportunities for our professionals. Nothing else. So there's nothing to discuss. We can't do business with it. That the 4 boys elected to join Live, yes, they're members of our tour. And as long as they want to come and play in South Africa, we'd love them to play. And they contribute a little bit of money towards our PGA championships. And Dean played. And Louis and Charles and Brandon and Dean played in either the South African Open or the Daniel Championship. So they supported us. I mean, we're hoping that they will continue to support us. Insofar as whether Live is good for us or bad for us, I mean, the market's only this big. The market's that big. So the market will just become a little smaller, unfortunately. Can't say fortunately. Unfortunately, that is the reality. Because if you take money out of golf hospitality that you were doing with me before, or with the Sunshine Tour before, and then you go and do it there, then you're taking, those two things don't work together. So we'll get on with our knitting, and we'll compete, hopefully, on a level playing field. And that our young stars will become bigger stars than our other stars. And people come and watch our stars and not their stars.
The best player you ever played with? You ever got to play with, whether as an amateur or as a commissioner, the best player you ever played with, do you think?
Should be hard. I mean, in the early days, I thought the best player I had ever played with was maybe Jack Newton. I mean, when I saw him play as an amateur, I just couldn't believe that a guy was that good at that particular time. Guys that have impressed me the most, Sevi was ridiculous. Faldo was...
Most interesting player you ever played with?
Most interesting.
Like exciting, interesting, flamboyant. I mean, obviously, Jimenez must...
I never played with him.
But who did you?
The most interesting... I mean, that's like really hard. It's really hard because they were all so different.
Lee Trevino.
I would love to have played with him. I didn't play with him, but I would love to have played with him. But I mean, Jack Nicklaus, I would have loved to play with him. Arnold, I would have loved to play. But of this, maybe, listen, the most fun that I had, maybe Tony Jacklin. I mean, really nice guys. One of the great... Fairty, I don't remember playing with, but a great fella, really a great fella. O'Leary, without a doubt, best fun. I mean, played a bit once or twice with Brian Barnes, played with Sir Bob Charles a long time ago. I used to play with him at 6 o'clock in the morning. We'd go and play at the white, blue or yellow. He lived in St Andrews. Go and play with him and Harold and Brian early in the morning before school.
So last thing, for an 18-year-old turning pro, last message for a youngster, an aspiring pro, message to them in closing.
Work again, and work again. I mean, there's the only way that you can succeed. You might have talent, but if you don't put the reps in, you've got no chance. I mean, let's just go back to Casey's last shot on 18th hole at the South African Open. A guy screams on his downswing. He just manages to get the ball on the fairway to 100. Almost thinned it. And then stands up and hits a 7-iron, 20 foot off line to 15 foot left of the hole. How do you do that? It's not big match. Yards. It's not big match temperament. It's reps. I mean, look at everything that Tiger said. The more, like Gary says there, I saw the poster in your entrance hall. The harder I work, the luckier I get. There's the perfect example. I mean, if you put in the time, you're going to get it. And it's the same in any business. If you don't put in the time.
That's my next question. They don't make it in golf. They decide to move from golf and they decided that they're not going to be a super great. And they go to business. What's your message to them as a 30-year-old post-pro golfer?
Get to work before your boss. I mean, people used to ask me, why am I going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning? I mean, where are you going? I used to stop at a garage to get a coffee or a croissant or something on the way to go to Vodacom's offices or Kyle Army or whatever I was doing at a particular time, wherever the office was. And I would say, I'm going to work. But why do you go so early? I said, because I'm scared someone's going to steal my job. I mean, I got to get there before anybody else. And I think that, Mr. Rupert's got a fantastic theory, which I said at the beginning of the program. Don't lie. Don't bullshit. And if you've got bad news, send it immediately. Don't send it by boat.
So listen, this has been an incredible hour, just over an hour. I mean, we haven't really gone into your stories and your greatest stories and the memorable stories. Maybe we'll do that again sometime. But your message, obviously, teaching us about, getting to work, just that little simple statement in its own right for business people in our industry, and learning to say no and learning to say no quickly. Never leave a meeting without a no or a yes. I mean, those are all part of what we actually take from this meeting. And, Selwyn, listening to you, it's been unbelievable. I'm really grateful and thankful to you. You've got such a beautiful work team around you. Your succession plan now with Thomas, are you stepping down there as the executive director? I think in June, you're going to take it a bit easier. You're going to play a lot more golf. We'll end up spending a bit more time together. But thank you, and thank you for all our listeners. And thank you for being part of our broadcast show. It was absolutely wonderful to have you here.
It was an actual pleasure being here. And you got off lightly. You didn't have to pay for the interview. So I did it not because I like you so much, because I think it's interesting to be able to tell people what a great time I've had in the game and what the game's taught me and my most wonderful friendships that I've made. All come from the game.
I've traveled with you and I've seen those friendships and I've seen how people absolutely love and adore you. And, your name is throughout the world of golfing industry and in business, not only in golf and in sportsmanship, is unparalleled. So thank you. I'm Norman Raad, and see you on the next one. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Cheers for now.